I? Yes, have some.
Yes, have some.
All right. Welcome back to Yes Have Some podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever it may be for you. We are super excited about our guest today. So, our guest joining us on YHS for the first time. And Stuart, you said this is the first interview you've ever done on the internet, which seems wild to me, but thank you for picking YHS as your big debut. Stuart Ziff is joining us, a true legend in film effects. He has worked in the industry. He's worked on some of the most amazing movies of all time, things that are so important to us, things like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, a little movie called Ghostbusters I'm sure we're going to touch on. Mm-hmm. And Jacob, you like Jurassic Park, don't you?
It's a good one. It is a good one.
I know. It's a good one. But Stuart Ziff, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me very much. Yes, it was an amazing career. I worked from, my first job was the first Star Wars, and I worked until the mid-90s, and the last one was like Starship Troopers and Air Force One. So.
All right. Well, we're mainly going to want to focus on Air Force One because I love Harrison Ford's like movie punches. He really lunges into him.
Yeah, that was the first DVD that we owned as a family was Air Force One. So nice. I remember the Christmas. Yeah.
It's funny to bring up. You said your first job was Star Wars and your last job was Air Force One, and I went right to Air Force One. But I do want to talk about a little bit about your history and how you got into the industry, because it's so. I think one thing for folks like us who love movies and cover this stuff for a living, it's when we think about that time period. You just said your first job was Star Wars. So let's talk a little bit about like what led to that. Like, how did you even get into the movie industry? Did you love movies growing up?
No, I needed a job. So okay, let me give you a little of my background.
That's hilarious. Okay, cool.
Yeah, what it is, I was like the garage Tom Edison. My brother and I had my parents' garage full of stuff, and we would like cast stuff out of silver and bronze and amateur radio. I made a machine that made a continuous rod of ice grow straight up 3 inches in diameter. And at that point, I ended up, it would melt and come to like a point, and anyways, and that's important for what I'm going to say. So at that point in my life, I wanted to be an engineer, and I ended up going to UCLA and have a BS in engineering. And then somehow I ended up at California Institute of the Arts, which was an art school. And I worked under Stefan von Huhn making kinetic sculpture. And he had the equipment to make laboratory glass blowing. This is where you take Pyrex tubing and have little torches and make shapes, and I'd fill them with liquid and mercury. And people said, you should fill this stuff with neon. I mean, so you should call up this guy, Larry Albright, who lived in Venice, California, part of LA. And well, not only did he teach me how to do neon, he became a lifelong friend. Okay. So after Cal Arts, I decided at that point I was going to be this really famous money-making artist, but I needed a job to hold me over. And people said with my skills, I should, go around Hollywood and show my artwork. And I remember I went on Seward Street. I think that's what it was. And they had all these little effects houses, and don't call us, we'll call you. And I kept visiting Larry. And Larry was Mr. Neon for Hollywood. He made neon inside of the mothership on Close Encounters. I did stuff for Michael Jackson. He was just amazing. And Larry was offered a job, and this was around 1976. It was a full-time job in some film, and he wanted to continue to work on his own sculpture. And he said, Stuart, go to this place in Van Nuys, California. And I went to a 10 o'clock interview. And by 11 o'clock, I actually started working on some film called Star Wars. You know.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
This stuff never happens to me. I never have a job interview that turns out to be like an important piece of pop culture history. It's just like,
well,
can you make sandwiches?
Yeah, it's like exactly. On the floor.
But who knew? You know, I mean, I actually ended up quitting. I did very significant work on Star Wars. Like I used those neon skills to make what was known as the neon pylon. I mean, what's so frustrating to me, I made significant contributions to film on technologies that are no longer used and are understood.
Yeah.
And at that point, things were shot against the blue screen and you supported it by a rod, but how do you make that rod disappear? And I think I was the first one. I literally bent white neon tubing to go around that rod, and then we put the same blue material that was on the blue screen, and when you adjusted the level, the rod just disappeared, and there was the rocket ship floating against the blue screen. So that was a big deal. And it looks like someone asked me a question. So
no, well, I think with that's so interesting, and I wanted to get into this a little bit, and you know, it's obviously technology always advances, but like back in those times, back in the 70s and 80s, like not only were you when you worked on a film in that capacity, you were building out effects and you were you know, figuring things out as you went, but like you were also like inventing techniques that like went on to be used and became like industry standards. Because if you think about it, like you know, I was born in 84, so everything I hear about Star Wars happened before I was born, and it was like you cannot fathom the reaction to this movie because nobody had seen anything like that before. So when you're in that, you know, when you're in the warehouse and you're with these guys and you're working on this stuff, do you have any sense of the impact this might make, or are you just saying this is a job, I'm making a rod disappear, whatever?
Well, first off, I didn't see too many dailies. So dailies are you film, and remember, this is with film, this was not digital.
Right.
So you film something one day, it's processed during the night, and then they show it the next day. So, you know, we saw really very little knowing what the whole film was. I mean, for me, sort of to answer what you're saying, was this a big deal? There's this wonderful program on Disney Plus, which is called Light and Magic.
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
Do you remember the scene where George Lucas is standing next to Steven Spielberg and how they were talking about their trading points, you know, like, and what Lucas is saying to Spielberg, oh boy, you know, you're going to make it big time on Close Encounters, you know. I mean, I'm not sure about the Star Wars thing. Well, it was sort of the other way around, just a little, you know.
Okay.
So it wasn't just, now the people I was working around were real excited. But again, this was a job for me, which I absolutely loved because we were developing new technologies and I like to make things. But other people there, oh, this is going to be great. I go, well, what do they know? We're not seeing anything. So.
Overconfident engineers. I like that. This is going to be good. And how long? What, Jake?
No, nothing.
Oh, there goes.
I was just thinking.
What? How long did you work on the first Star Wars? Were you there for a long time?
See, I wrote it down here.
Okay.
No, I don't know if I have that here. I guess I think it was like around 6 months or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, there was a reunion of those of us who worked on the first 3 Star Wars. It was, I think, around 2017. And the guy who was the optical printer operator, Robbie Blaylock, said working on the first Star Wars was like jumping out of an airplane with needle and thread in one hand and a bunch of cloth in the other. And you had to make that parachute because we were building the equipment, you know, to make, apparently they worked a year before they delivered the first scene. And Fox was just really not happy that it was going so slowly. I sort of drifted off there. What was your question? Or
no, I mean, I was just no, that's fine. Just kind of wondering, like, what you said you worked on it for about 6 months, and then I guess there's probably a period of time, whatever it is, another 6 months or a year. When it came out and became like a phenomenon, were you like, what was that like for you having worked on it? Were you did you feel like it was, I've been holding on to this secret, like now the world knows about it? Or were you kind of like also shocked that it, because it's kind of a miracle. Any movie, they always say like any movie getting made is a miracle, but becoming the most important film in genre history is another version of a miracle.
Yeah, I was just totally amazed. I took a road trip for myself. I mean, and I think I saw it in some part of California. And it just that opening scene when, what is it, one of the Star Destroyers, comes over the top, and it was just what I give George Lucas the credit for is that when the camera would film in Star Wars, like some scene, and the camera stopped, I still had the feeling if the camera kept going, that world was bigger than just in front of the screen. So I was just completely amazed by it.
That's really impressive. I'm wondering personally, did you, because I have seen that Light and Magic in that documentary, it seemed like the vibe on set was like really cool. Like there were a lot of friendships being made, and maybe there were like some fun parties going on. I didn't know if you maybe went to a rap party or if there's any memories you have about that specifically.
Oh, on the first Star Wars, it was so amazing. I mean, it was in the San Fernando Valley, which was pretty hot. So they had like a big tub that people could swim in.
I saw the tub. Okay, great. So you know
they
about
slide water down. I mean,
that looks like so much fun.
Yeah, it was just it's just a wonderful feeling. And another thing is that everyone shared knowledge. There wasn't territory. So if I had an idea and I went to whatever, animation people, the model builders, they'd listen to me. And it wasn't that, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Who's this guy?
Politics.
Right.
Yeah, I've been a PA, I remember. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it was interesting because like I ended up working on, I guess it was Return of the Jedi on location in London at the studio in Boringwood or wherever. And I mean, we were told, oh my gosh, you don't go in this department because, they don't want anyone to know what they're doing. And that was not, I mean, anytime I worked for Lucasfilm, it was just a wonderful experience. And yes, these people have become lifelong friends.
That's awesome.
I imagine like finishing work on something like Star Wars or any of the stuff that you worked on, and then going back and watching, you're watching Star Wars and being like, I physically worked on what you're seeing right here. Must be so much more like rewarding than the way they do things now, where it's like, hey, I did that on a computer.
I pressed the neon.
I coordinated that meeting.
Exactly. Well, I do things that, of course, there is that feeling. Oh my God, I actually helped on that. But there's another thing too, is if I'm watching a film like that and I'm looking at the technical stuff, the film's not working for me.
Sure.
I want to be sucked in like everyone else. It's like, oh my gosh, this is a different world. Oh yeah, I can. But look at this is really entertaining. So that's what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened like on Ghostbusters. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about Ghostbusters.
I quit from the first Star Wars, and I actually quit from Empire because it's always this thing. Well, I'm going to go back and be an artist.
Right.
But I was really very, very good. And I didn't have to look for a job for 10 years because people knew what I could do and that I would deliver, though I sometimes quit. And I kept getting called back, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
So you work on, I'm sorry, Abby, what'd you say?
Just saying that's the best situation. So good for you.
Right.
That is a good situation. You work on Empire. You work on Return of the Jedi, so it sounds like you have this steady work. You're with the Lucas crew. They know your skill set. Just so for ultra clarity, when we talk about it, when you say I was really good at what I do, so they're bringing you back for Empire. Like what are some of the things that you're working on immediately, or some of the engineering tasks you have to bring to life?
Okay, so a significant thing I did on Empire is, gosh, does anyone know what an optical printer is?
Okay, sure.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm willing to learn. I'll look it up.
Okay, so in the days of film, before you had like a Photoshop where you just like click on my head and it makes an outline and takes away the background, that all had to be done on film. So let's say there's a scene where you see my head and a rocket ship flies behind me. Okay, that rocket ship is filmed as one element, and I'm filmed as another element, and you put these pieces of film together. Well, you just can't lay one piece of film on the other, because otherwise, you'd see the image of the rocket ship flying on my face, or it would merge the two. So there was this machine where you have different pieces of film. You'd have like a light source, and you have what's known as like a camera, where one piece of film would go through, and then lenses, and then another piece of film, and then a camera, an actual camera with film here. And when it goes through, it would combine those images. Now in this, you have to have what's known as holdout maps, where we make it where it's sort of like clear, where you're then put the image of the rocket ship. I mean, we can go on and on.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
The whole thing. So they ended up, Richard Edlund ended up having made a 4-head optical printer. And I coordinated parts of that. I would deal like with the operators on, well, what do you want the buttons to do? When we push this button, it goes that way. And then I would deal with the electronics department. So I would be doing things like that. I was sort of like the general person who would walk around and advise people on how to do things. Like there might be a group of people in some department and someone didn't know what the solution was, and I would go there. And what I realized was there was one person who really knew what was going on. And I go, oh, I think that's a good idea. Why don't we do that? And what I effectively did was empower that person.
Right.
But because I was there, I got credit.
That's the way it works.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it was people skills. And I think with those people skills, why I was hired to manage the shop for Ghostbusters, even though I never really made creatures like that or whatever.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So I think, and I know our audience will be extremely interested. So timeline wise, Ghostbusters shoots in late 1983, or whatever it is. So can you talk a little bit about like how you got involved with that project and what that process was? Because I think, we're always trying to learn new things about the making of that movie. And to be honest, like there's been a lot of documentaries and a lot of books, and it's been really well covered, but I don't know. I can't imagine just being on the ground floor of that. That's super exciting.
Okay, so I had worked on, Return of the Jedi, which at one point Revenge of the Jedi,
right.
Changed the name. And I worked in a building run by Phil Tippett, where we made basically all the background creatures in Jabba's hut. Jabba was made in England, and I was responsible for, me and some other people, making the mechanisms inside of the creatures. Like I made Admiral Akbar's eyes. I literally machined them and made the idling mechanism for him, and on and on. So anyways, this was up in Northern California, and after that happened, Richard Edlund was moving down to start Boss Film, and he needed someone to run the Ghost Shop. And I was very close with Phil Tippett at the time, and Phil read the script for Ghostbusters and what the creatures were, and I'm very unsure of myself. I'm not a manager. And Phil said, "Oh, Stuart, it's only going to take 15 people to do this, and we'll fly down John Berg." I don't know if you know of John Berg. He did like I think did some of the stop motion creatures in the Cantina. Not the Cantina scene. I think he made some of the Cantina creatures. I'm not sure. You guys will have to check me on that. So anyway, he was going to fly down once a week. And so I started hiring people. I went back to LA. And as the film went along, ultimately I was managing over 50 people. We had 15 people alone just working on Stay Puft. Because what was happening, they knew they really had something. And the director and the production company just kept adding creatures hand over foot. It was an absolute zoo.
So
in like a fun way, or
Well, like if you want to die, it was fun.
Okay, a lot of pressure, a lot of work. Gotcha.
It was completely rushed,
Right.
Yeah.
Quick
like
turnaround.
I would leave the end of the day with maybe a list of, I don't know, 20 items that were super important. And I'd come in the next morning and I'd go, Jay, do this one, that one. And I go, just focus on anyone. And then the phone would ring and it would be something like, Stuart, that creature that was scheduled to shoot in 6 weeks? Well, we need it in 3 weeks. I go, hold on, you don't understand. I mean, remember, this isn't digital. You had to sculpt it and make molds and then cast it out of rubber and make the mechanisms and paint the costume and rehearse the actors. So it was just a zoo like that.
So
deadlines, I hear you.
Yeah. So what is the average day look like leading up to so you're going to now be in this new position, you're taking over. And by the way, totally respect and honor the fact that this was over 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what happened yesterday. So I appreciate you going down memory lane with us. You come in the morning, things are working, there maybe filming's about, you're in pre-production, we talk about these creatures in Ghostbusters, Stay Puffed, Slimer, Terror Dogs. I mean, it goes on and on. Mm-hmm. The library ghost. Yeah. So what, do you have any specific memories of things that you worked on or were involved with that because for us, Ghostbusters is our Star Wars. Like this is the franchise and the movie that we really gravitate towards. So it's just cool to hear these kind of stories. So anything particularly memorable stick out?
Well, there's so many things. There is the ghost shop, and let's just say the librarian ghost, which I think is really significant because, that to me that set the tone of the movie. There was this scary thing, the reaction of the Ghostbusters running away like a bunch of clowns, and honky-tonk music in the background. So, what was that? It was, I guess it was sculpted by Steve Johnson. And, do you want me to describe the library ghost?
Let's get into it. Cause yeah.
So, it was sculpted. The skin was made out of latex rubber. There was a whole fiberglass skull inside. There were these mechanisms that, and fiberglass, latex rubber arms, cables went to a mechanism that when off screen puppeteers would pull levers, those cables, like the same type you'd have on bicycles or motorcycles, would cause the head to come forward and then the mouth to come out and the arms to extend. And, there was an effects fan blowing, the hair and so on.
Sure.
That was something.
And did you see any having worked with creatures on Return of the Jedi and was it a lot of the same techniques or was technology advancing to where the new things were being implemented or was it kind of like those other films kind of set you up for success in this role?
No, I don't think we developed new technologies there, and this was standard, make the model like I described. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I was just very, very fortunate that we hired incredibly talented people who had worked on a lot of films, who knew all this stuff. Remember, I was really I was more of a manager. I considered myself like the maitre d' at a restaurant,
people person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is right. I mean, I did significant things in helping to make decisions to say no. Yeah, part of my job was just making decisions, yes or no. Even if it was the wrong decisions had to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then
I don't think there was much new innovation.
Did you work one-on-one with production at all? Did you have conversations with Ivan Reitman, or were there people kind of in between, production-wise?
Oh yes, I didn't work directly with Ivan Reitman. I worked with one of the associate producers, Michael Groves.
Oh yeah, of course.
And which is a story in itself. And So, but well, let me just sort of describe, because okay, so they had various people like make conceptual drawings, right?
Right.
And then the people in the creature shop would make little models. They were like, maybe 8 inches high, called maquettes.
Mhm.
And then people like Ivan and other head honchos would review what they want the look of it. And then our people made like the full size, Slimer or whatever, the other creatures. And so let's see, where was I? Please help me.
No, yeah. Well, I was just talking about how, like, who were you work? So you said you worked with Michael Gross, like they would send people over for approvals and things like that. But it's interesting because it's like, it's such a multi-layered process. And I don't think a lot of people really, and to a certain extent, it still works like that. You still have concept artists, you still have, approvals. And I would like to think they still make physical maquettes, maybe. And then it gets a little blurry. Yeah, sometimes. But once you're in the shop and they're building out these life-size creatures and really bringing it to life, I mean, that has to be the most fun from an effects, in engineering kind of standpoint. Like, okay, now we know the design, but how do we actually make this work?
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, I ended up after the film really coming to admire Michael Gross, but he was a real pain in the rear end. There's this wonderful book written by Claire Bueno, who did what they did the film. What was it?
Cleaning Up the Town.
Thank you. And I highly recommend the book. It's over 500 pages, and it's basically all the interviews they did. She transcribes that aren't in the film. And what I learned from that, this was like the first major film Michael worked on. And so, so here's one of the scenes when you say, what is it like bringing to life? Okay, so you have the tear dog. Whenever it ran or moved, it was a stop motion puppet about 18 inches long that was sculpted and expertly stop motion animated by Randy Cook. Whenever it was around actors, it was only sitting on the floor. Right. And they literally, the whole stage was built 4 feet above the actual stage in the sound stage. So if the director said, I want the tear dog there, the grips would cut a hole in the floor, and then the actor went inside, sort of the sitting tear dog, right? And then there were also under the floor were all the puppeteers looking at monitors, and cables made the eyebrows work, maybe it snarl. So this is all the setup. We make all of this, and it's in the ghost shop. And I don't know how, let's say there were a half a dozen puppeteers plus the actor inside. And there was rehearsal, like, have the tear dog move this way and turn its head. And all the people had to work together. And when the rehearsal starts, it just doesn't work. It's just like
so many moving parts. Yeah.
It's like an orchestra of people who never rehearsed before, never together. Okay, so Michael Gross shows up when this is going on into the ghost shop, and he loses it. Oh my gosh, we're filming in a few days. This is never going to work. Well, this completely demoralizes everyone. So it's my job to get him away and just build up the confidence of the people. And, when he's finally away, and I don't know how they spent a day or two, finally it comes together. And the thing's alive. All these parts are moving the same way. And so that speaks to what my job was. Right. I learned on my job. My job wasn't just managing the people below me. It was managing the people above me.
Right. Yeah. You're like in between as a conductor.
Yeah, it's my job. It's my job to keep it working. And I have to say that after the film was over, Claire and Anthony had this lunch. It could have been 2015. I sat across from, this is in LA. I sat across from Michael Gross. I ended up on his blog. I started following him. He was dying of kidney cancer. Yeah. I got to know him. He was this incredibly talented, sensitive guy. And Claire has since said that he felt pretty bad how he dealt with some people on Ghostbusters. So,
hey, I cannot imagine that environment, first of all,
it's a stressful job.
Yeah, it reminds me of listening to interviews like with Steven Spielberg about how the shark is not working on Jaws.
Right.
It's like the dog is not working.
The dog is not working. I mean, you've got a huge, big budget, film with a quick turn, less than a year to get it out. They have a release date planned, and you're dealing with a lot of, it's like anything, like any big production. But like the thing is, as you described that, Stuart, one of the conversations we have all the time is like when we watch modern movies, even good ones, it never feels the way it used to feel. And the truth is that when you have 10, 15, 20 people orchestrating one puppet for one scene, once it locks in, you're going to get a better turnout than we were talking. This is not, again, I'm not anti-digital. This is the way it is. The technology has evolved. But Jacob, we talk about it all the time. It's just,
it's almost like if you got a whole crew of people and it's like, okay, so your job is make these eyes work. Your job is make the lips snarl. You have one person who's putting all of that time and effort into this one little aspect. So when it all comes together and you see it for the first time, it's like you said, it's like, oh, that is alive. Right. It's just like there's so much more care put into it.
Care and craft.
I think you're right. Film. Like when you work as I work as an artist, I'm one person making my thing. Film is a very collaborative effort. And I think it's like, oh gosh, let's jump to a different thing. The amazing part about working with George Lucas was he constantly was taking advantages of things and rewriting, I believe, the script in his mind to take it. And if it didn't work, the script changed, Right. And I think a good director does something like that.
Sure.
I mean, it's so interesting. Like if you read Claire's book, let me riff here a little. Like,
no, go for it.
When Michael Reitman was hiring, was it Shelley Kahn? Was that the editor of?
Shelley Kahn. Yeah.
And apparently, Shelley reads the script and says to Ivan, well, this is pretty good, but that ending with Stay Puft, is that going to work? And Ivan goes, well, I don't know. and while it was being made, Michael Gross was saying the same thing, or maybe it was right after it. He said, we didn't know until the test screening when this goofy 96-foot high marshmallow man walked down the streets of Manhattan, whether the audience would stand up and leave the theater or stand up on their seats and cheer.
Yeah, and it works miraculously. It works.
But who knew? I mean, you don't know sometimes. Even the guys making the film don't know, and that's to take that risk. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of wondering, like, when you're making a movie like Ghostbusters and you have a whole crew of people who are doing, the ghosts and the creature effects, and then the movie's a comedy and it's got some really silly stuff in it. Is there somebody who's like, how do you know how scary to make these things? Like, it's like, is somebody like, okay, well, the terror dogs need to be, because some of the creatures are so terrifying looking in Ghostbusters if you take them out of the context of them being in Ghostbusters. But then you got like Slimer, who's kind of silly looking, but then like the library ghost and the terror dog, those could be in like horror movies, and you wouldn't even know. So like, I wonder like is there somebody who's like, that's got to be scarier, or let's go goofier on this, or like that just must be a feat in its own to figure that like balance out?
Well, I have to say, I think that's above my pay grade. I mean, that's the decision of the director and the editor, I would think.
Sure.
I mean, we would get feedback, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, just think of the librarian goes, that was really terrifying.
Yeah,
I guess little kids
really
could really be terrified. But when you put it in the context of the way the Ghostbusters reacted and the movie, I guess that shifts the terror to, oh, there's something else.
Right.
Sure. Well, it's like anything with a movie. Like it's a combination of what you're seeing on screen, the music, the performances, everything kind of creates that tone. Stuart, I don't know if you've ever seen it. A couple years ago, they put out like a special edition DVD of Ghostbusters, but it has the original cut print, the test print basically. It's way different. It's way not as good. Like, it's amazing. Like, it really makes you appreciate editing because it's longer. The scenes go too long. It's not.
Well,
as tight.
it's almost a totally different. All the takes are different takes, different jokes. It's very different.
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think I could tell you an interesting story if you want about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Gross described to me, as I remember it, remember we're talking 41 years, that Ivan Reitman's film would go doot, 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 and then it starts going like this.
Right.
The energy builds to the climax. And it's stay pop. Okay. So as the Ghostbusters are starting to find ghosts, hand over foot, there's the scene where they're in the Civil War Museum and they're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And this, let's face it, I'm just amazed some of this stuff had PG rating.
We know where this is going.
You know where this is. Well, you don't exactly know where it's going.
Okay, let's hear it.
What
I like
you
it.
don't know is they built this incredible set outside the soundstage to film that ghost floating over, Dan Aykroyd to do nondescribed things, and they spent
romantic encounter.
Pardon? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Definitely not PG in my book. Okay. And so what it is when they edit it, and so that scene was supposed to be really long, but when they edit it, what it is, it's going like this, and then if they kept that in, it would have gone like this, and then up. So they just used very little of what they shot there, to make that energy work.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because that portion, because when you go back, because they've released like the deleted versions, and it's kind of a weird scene. And where it was originally in the movie, this is why Ivan Reitman and Shelley Kahn and Michael Gross and Joe Medjuck were making movies, and I'm just talking about them because I would have been like, leave it in. We spent way too much money shooting this thing. Put it in twice.
Yeah. I guess that's something with student films. They just have to learn it didn't work.
Gotta cut it. So hard to cut it. This is my big scene. So Stuart, before we move on, because I do want to get to Jurassic Park as well, I want to talk a little bit about your documentary and how that came together, and then you've got your first convention appearance coming up too, which is really cool. But tell us about the documentary, like how, like, you have this long career, and I think you said you got out of the film industry in the 90s, right? So
that's correct.
It's now 2025. What has re-engaged you with this portion of your life and in the documentary and everything?
Well, my wife and I have wonderful dogs, and we're constantly walking. We have a new puppy now, which hopefully won't bark anymore. And so anyways, we come across another neighbor who has a golden retriever. Her son is going to a local school taking an animation class, and he's like 14 or 15 at the time. And one thing leads to another. When I worked on Ghostbusters, I had a little 35 millimeter camera, and I was constantly taking pictures. And I had this PowerPoint presentation, and I showed it at his animation class. And there was like 25
That's so
students.
cool.
That is so awesome.
Oh, yeah. And there's like 25 students, and they're all watching it. And at the end, they applaud and leave. And the two teachers come up to me and go, they really like that. I go, well, yeah, I know they liked it. They applauded. No, you don't understand. If they didn't like it, they would have been on their cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones. So then I did another presentation on, I made this, machine for Dragon Slayer that I got a technical achievement award to drop a little things in there. Cool. And so one of the teachers is showing me out to the parking lot and say, I and some friends unrelated to the school make documentaries, and we'd like to make a documentary of you. And it's been almost a year ago, and that started the process. And they've come to my house a number of times, shot video. Part of it is I'm going to be doing a signing at Monsterpalooza in Burbank. I have it here at the Marriott Burbank Convention Center, October 10th and 11th. I'll be signing pictures of myself, and they'll be videoing me. And I'm really excited. Again, I've never done, well, I did it for Tom.
Yeah.
On,
the containment unit. Yeah.
I've never done it at a thing like this, so it should be really interesting.
Be prepared for a bunch of Ghostbuster costumes
in uniform.
And proton packs.
Yeah. Hyper specific question.
Yeah.
Stuart, I just want to ask you something. This was your career. You obviously were extremely successful, extremely passionate about it, but at the end of the day, this was your work. And like you said earlier, like you kind of fell into it because your skill set allowed you to kind of get into film at the right time. Are you, because we're all collectors, if you could see our backgrounds.
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah, are we? We collect toys, we collect, statues and DVDs and cats. We're cat people, but we love dogs too. Are you, when somebody comes up to you and wants, when you did the signing with the containment unit, when somebody wants their Ghostbusters or Star Wars items signed by you, is that something you can relate to, or is it a little bit like, I can't believe, like what? Because I'm always interested in that. If you're not like a collector, or that's not like your passion, how you react to that kind of level of fandom.
Well, now oh gosh, let me tell a story with respect to that, because
okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. After 9/11 and that horrible incident, I get this thing in the mail. I think it was like maybe 18 inches wide by 2 feet long, and it's some poster from Empire or something like that. And there are all these incredible signatures on it. I mean, I don't know, John Dykstra, I forget who. And this cover letter, I was a fireman working at 9/11, and I would so appreciate if you'd sign this poster. So I sign it. And then a few months later, my friend sees it on eBay. That pissed me off so much that I would just never sign anything. Yeah. I mean, but then a number of years ago, I gave my slide presentation on Ghostbusters, and I'm involved with neon sculpture at the Museum of Neon Art in Glendale. And afterwards, these people in their early 20s come up and they, Mr. Ziff, you don't know, we're so glad you're here. You don't know what Ghostbusters meant to us. And one guy starts to cry a little, and he tells me how it changed his life. And I go, hold on. I worked on it. I'm proud of it, but I worked on things that really affected people. And then I thought of myself when I was a kid. They used to show Wizard of Oz once a year, and that affected me, and that flipped me. I realize now that I may have done it for paying the mortgage or other things, but this really enriches people. So now I'm only too happy to sign things for people. And understand it's part of their world and life. It's important. I think it almost replaces religion for a lot of people.
Oh, I'm one of those people. Movies. Yeah. I'm in a documentary about Ghostbusters talking about how it's something that I really, really care about. So I'm one of those.
Yeah, I mean, you have a script, which is like a Bible, and you have people who are the actors, and you get to meet other people, especially now with the internet.
Well, it does. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. The biggest part of this for us is community, right? Like we've met all of our best friends in the world. We've met through basically this.
The three of us found each other through Ghostbusters props from being a Slimer and us finding him on the internet. Like that's it's real, and it's a really cool legacy. Yeah,
it is really cool. I really like that anecdote that you shared. That's really because there's always going to be bad apples that do it for the wrong reasons. But in my experiences, most people are good and authentic. And I love that you're going to do Son of Monsterpalooza. I think we've been to that Burbank Convention Center. We were out there for a toy show.
Yeah, a couple of years
ago. So that's going to be really great. That's I'll be really excited about the documentary too.
They're going to be showing tomorrow at my house. The documentary crew is coming over with, I think, a 2-minute edit of the trailer, which I have not seen yet.
Oh,
and
that's
they're
exciting.
constantly showing it at my table, so I'm real excited, and they're very excited about it. So
That's awesome.
of the documentary, yeah.
Stuart, before we I want to be respectful of your time. Before we get towards the end here, let's talk about Jurassic Park, because this is another movie for us that is part of our personal legacy and canon. If we have that, I think we do. Jacob, I know is it your favorite movie, or is it Jaws still?
It's up there. It's probably one or two,
Yeah. But very important seminal moment for all of us as moviegoers, being seeing that T-Rex on screen at 7-8 years old, and kind of like that's like a kind of like Star Wars, right? Like it kind of changed who we were,
our direction, so that we became podcasters. I think
we became podcasters. We didn't even know it at the time. In 1993, we'd be becoming podcasters. Stuart, what was your involvement on Jurassic Park?
Well, you see how big my smile is. And I'm going to start off by saying there's no justice in life, and there's less in film.
Here we go.
I mean by that? I was living, as I live now, in LA, and Phil Tippett was up in Oakland, and he had Tippett Studios. And there was the whole thing of they decided to, instead of doing stop motion for Jurassic Park, correct me, I could be wrong.
No, you're right. Yeah,
do it digitally. Now, the stop motion animators weren't used to sitting at a keyboard, so they made which was known as the dinosaur input device, and that was the skeleton of the the two raptors, and I guess it was like maybe 2 feet long. And at each joint, there was a thing called a potentiometer. I think there was like 64, and all these wires. So when they moved this skeleton, the stick model on the screen would work. And then they put on bones and skin and whatever else they're going to do. Okay, they had a problem. The wires going to those encoders, those little potentiometers, kept breaking. So Phil had me fly up there, and for several weeks, and then Gary Platic did it, I resoldered all those wires with a wire. In ordinary wire has like 19 strands. This has like over 100. So you can bend it back and forth, and they don't break. They just don't broke. Okay, so that was my whole contribution.
Like, you were the wire guy. I love that.
The wires.
No, but let me go back to there's no justice in life and less in film. I get a screen credit for it.
Who's the wire guy?
Yeah,
hey,
so that's
you know
my
what?
whole thing with Jurassic Park.
That's awesome.
What was your
wires are really important in that movie. I don't know if you know this, but
I would have been pocketing raptor sculptures.
Oh yeah.
But that's just me. What was your credit? What were you credited as?
I don't know.
Yeah,
we have to go on imdb.com. So
Raptor wire specialist.
I mean, the thing with credits, when I worked on Ghostbusters, I submitted everyone's name to the production company, and they didn't include Mark Brian Wilson, who was the puppeteer in Slimer, and then they had other people who did about as much input as I did on Jurassic Park. I mean, at least
like no rhyme or reason to it,
Oh yeah. I mean, I heard some things like, "Oh, they felt it was too long." I don't know. It's painful because it's really big deal to get a credit.
Sure,
absolutely. Yeah. You want that? You want to be commemorated? Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the three of us if we worked on a movie and we
were cut from it.
We were cut from it, how we'd react. No, if we were supposed to get a credit and we didn't, I don't think I would be too happy about it.
Bummer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, listen, I have a whole history of, which is hopefully going to be in the documentary, of things I worked on that didn't get in the film that I always end with, but the paycheck cleared. Like you bring up Air Force One.
Yeah.
One of my big things on Air Force One, they had like a 7-foot model of the MiG and the F-15. And in it, they had a little head for the pilot. And I made the mechanism that made the head turn, And so when the camera went by, Well, they lit it in such a way you can't see the head, but the paycheck cleared. And
Yeah.
or on the fourth Star Trek motion picture with the big whales, right? I made the eye mechanism move. Well, the person in charge told me which eye to make it to, but they ended up shooting the eye on the other side. So what I made wasn't used. So, but,
well, Stuart, it sounds like you have a really good perspective on all of this, which is awesome. So tell me a little bit, if you don't mind, but like we're gonna wind down here in a second, but post film industry, did you go back into art? Did you go back into industrial design? Like what did that second part of your career look like?
Well, I'm a builder of things. I have a garage machine shop, and I have a whole setup where I could make neon signs in my garage and do the glass blowing with some of the glass that actually I bought 50 years ago at Cal Arts when I first learned how to do it. And life all of a sudden, oh gosh, we have to remodel the kitchen, and that becomes the thing. I did work. I did work a little on Claire and Anthony's, film.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which I can't seem to remember the title. Thank you for helping.
Clean it up the town. Yeah.
Things like that.
That's very cool.
Leaving film. If I have all my. Well, let me just first say on my list, I wanted to say, as far as getting into film, I always say the most important thing in life is to be lucky. And the second most important thing is don't blow it. So, right?
Tell them what you don't do. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear about people who win the lottery and then they're bankrupt 2 years later. Or, well, okay. So how was I lucky? With respect to like Star Wars, I was at the right place in Los Angeles at the right time. This beginning of this effects thing, with the right skills. I had, the degree in engineering. I was an excellent machinist, and I had the right temperament. I could work those many hours, Fast forward to the end of my career. Oh, and I have to say, when we worked in Northern California, every astrological sign, they'd have on the stage a spread of food on a table 30 feet long. And we all celebrated, and it was great. It was just wonderful being there like that. Yeah. Fast forward at the end of my career, I'm working on Air Force One and Starship Troopers in an unheated warehouse, in winter. And we're not having those food. Next door is the CGI group, who have their barbecues.
Oh,
no. And, by that time, I'm a lot older, and working the 12-hour days didn't work for me. And
I would have been over there like Control-Alt-Delete. Take that. Just messing with their computers.
Yeah. Oh, and they're like, what, $600 chairs,
Yeah. It's stealing their
barbecue. We're trying to keep it warm,
Back in my day. Well, that's cool. The neon stuff's actually really interesting.
I know. I want to see some of that stuff. We do come out to California pretty often, so at some point
I'll give you a tour of the Museum of Neon Art in Glendale. I volunteer and explain to people how neon is made. You could look them up on Museum of Neon Art.
Yeah,
that's cool. I would love.
One of the sculptures I made at Cal Arts, which my teacher named Buck Rogers, is on permanent display there, and it still works after 51 years, which just amazes me. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. We're definitely going.
Well, we need some neon YHS podcast logo signs. Stuart, we're going to get you some business. But
well, I must admit, I talk about it more than I do it. I'm constantly making new equipment.
There
like
you go.
Torches or whatever. I'm programming Arduinos to control it and so on.
Well, Stuart, this has been awesome. So you're on social media now. We can find you on Instagram. You're going to be at Son of Monster Palooza and Burbank.
Yes.
And you've got the documentary.
I'm going to put the plug. That's October 11th and 12th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Cool.
Signing, taking pictures, telling stories. That's going to be really cool. And then it looks like there's a lot of cool guests at that show. So definitely, if you're in the area, get out there. And Stuart, I really, like, all joking aside, like, this is really cool for us because it allows us to kind of like get a little inside peek into what it was like. And your situation's so unique because you have this like very like hyper specific skill set that that was needed to bring these incredible motion pictures to life. So we appreciate you sharing your story. I got to ask you this. You said you didn't grow up really loving movies. You mentioned Wizard of Oz. Do you have a favorite movie just in general, not necessarily something you worked on? Do you have like something you revisit every year?
Oh, I just love Casablanca.
Okay.
I love, Sunset Boulevard. I like to go on YouTube. They have these like half an hour makings of.
Yeah.
And just, it's just sort of just reading Claire's book, how, they wanted to get John Candy for Ghostbusters, and
Right.
for whatever reason, it ended up Rick Moranis. And he probably worked out 10 times better.
Right.
It's like just the luck of the draw of the business just amazes me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, the business has changed a lot, but we still love movies, and there's still a lot of, great films being made. There's still Ghostbusters movies being made.
Yeah.
I listen, I did really significant things on, was it a China Syndrome? But who remembers China Syndrome? The thing is, I was very lucky. Ghostbusters and Star Wars and Star Trek became franchises.
Right.
So they're still out there,
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, we like keeping that torch alive. And Stuart, this was great. You're more than welcome to join us anytime if you ever want to update us on.
Fun.
Yeah.
I hope this was good for you.
I'd love to talk more lighting and puppetry. So
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, we don't have bathtubs or astrological sign food
Crafty
parties. But
tables.
we have fun.
Well, I had fun. I thank you all of you so very much.
Yeah, this is great.
I mean, this was an important part of my life, and to share it is just so wonderful. And to see the effect that it had on the world, I just stumbled into this.
Oh, I mean, we have a terror dog head in our dining room.
Looking at it. Yeah, right there.
Looking at it right now. Abby, will you turn the camera and prove it?
Yeah, here, I'll just
Prove we're fans.
Prove there it is.
Look at that! Wow, that's like the one that recently sold on a prop store that Richard Edlund had.
I wish it was that one. If we had that one, it wouldn't be on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, I should ask you that. We'll end on there. Did you ever keep anything, any keepsakes that you've had from any of the sets?
Well, most of them been sold on prop store.
Okay.
Because the reality is, a lot of this stuff was made out of latex foam rubber, and it turns to dust at times. So
Yeah.
and I'm not really a collector, and I'm 76 years old, and and it's hopefully bringing joy to other people, and I made some coin on it. So
Hell yeah. Well, and the last thing you want is one of those dogs running around with Slimer's arm.
Yeah, I know.
Foam, latex all over the place, crumbling. Stuart, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for getting up early for us too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were West Coast. I would have done it. We would have done it later in the day.
Thank you so much. I can't thank all of you so very much. I had so much fun. I hope this works well for you.
Oh, it's great. Our
audience is gonna love it.
Yeah. All right.
Do I?
Yes, have some.
Yes, have some.